Caitlin Clark has reportedly been given one of the biggest responsibilities in women's basketball. Not just a place on Team USA, not just another international opportunity, but the captaincy. And the moment that news started spreading, the basketball world immediately began debating what it meant. Because being named captain is completely different from simply making the roster. A roster spot means you earn your place among the best players available. But being captain, that means the coaching staff and decision-makers are trusting you to lead, to communicate, to stay composed when the pressure gets intense, and to become one of the main voices when the game is on the line. That's why this decision has created so much attention. Team USA has plenty of experienced players, Olympic champions, WNBA stars, players with championship resumes and years of international experience. Angel Wilson and Breanna Stewart are among the established stars connected to this level of basketball. Players like that have already proven themselves on the biggest stages. So when the captaincy goes to Caitlin Clark, it sends a message. The future may already be arriving faster than anyone expected. And according to the storyline surrounding the decision, USA Basketball's leadership wanted the right balance between experience and the next generation. Clark fits directly into that picture. She's young enough to represent where the program is heading, but she's also already shown that she can handle enormous pressure. And that's where things start getting interesting. Because the captaincy wasn't simply about popularity. It wasn't supposed to be about jersey sales. It wasn't about social media followers. The decision was presented as one based on basketball performance, leadership, and the ability to run an offense at the highest level. And once you look at the numbers connected to Clark's season, you can understand why her name became impossible to ignore. But the decision also created another major storyline. Angel Reese was also connected to the Team USA conversation. And according to the material surrounding the situation, the reaction to Clark becoming captain became one of the biggest points of controversy. Before getting into that drama, though, we need to understand exactly why Caitlin Clark's case became so strong. Because a season wasn't just good. It was packed with huge performances, record-breaking moments, and numbers that helped make her one of the biggest stories in basketball. When you look at Caitlin Clark's production, the first thing that stands out is how much responsibility she carries whenever she's on the court. The scoring is there, the passing is there, and the ability to control the pace of the game is there too. The material behind this story highlights averages of more than 20 points and around 8 assists per game, while Clark was playing fewer minutes than usual. That's what makes the production stand out. She's doing more while spending less time on the floor. Her shooting numbers were also highlighted as improving, showing growth in both overall efficiency and three-point shooting. But the regular season numbers only tell part of the story. There were major individual performances that pushed the conversation even further. Clark collected Player of the Week recognition and delivered several dominant stretches where she combined high-level scoring with elite playmaking. Then came one of the biggest performances mentioned in the entire storyline. Against Seattle, Clark reportedly exploded for 45 points and 10 assists in less than 30 minutes. A performance like that doesn't just show scoring ability. It shows complete control. She wasn't simply hitting shots. She was creating opportunities for everyone around her. And when a player can score at that level while also running the offense, the defense is almost no easy answer. Defend the shot, and she can find the open teammate. Try to take away the passing lanes, and she can attack herself. That combination is what makes elite guards so difficult to stop. But Clark's success wasn't happening alone. The Indiana Fever were also getting major contributions from players around her. Kelsey Mitchell was putting up huge scoring numbers. Aliyah Boston were providing strength inside. Lexi Hull was contributing defensively. And Sophie Cunningham was bringing energy and toughness. Together, the team were producing one of the league's most dangerous offenses. And that's important when discussing leadership. A great leader isn't always a player who takes every shot. Sometimes the best leader is a player who makes everyone else's job easier. Clark's passing and court vision allow her teammates to get involved. She can change the rhythm of the game in just a few possessions. One deep three-pointer can force the defense to stretch. One perfect pass can create an easy basket. And suddenly, the entire game changes. But as impressive as a WNBA season was, another stretch of basketball may have played an even bigger role in building her case for Team USA. And it happened on the international stage. In international competition, Clark reportedly faced a completely different environment, different rules, different spacing, different opponents, and a different level of pressure. She was also returning after spending significant time recovering from injury. Nobody knew exactly what to expect. But instead of slowly disappearing into the background, Clark quickly became one of the tournament's biggest stories. Across the tournament, she was credited with breaking numerous records and earning MVP recognition. One performance stood out above the rest. In limited minutes, she reportedly finished with 17 points and 12 assists without committing a single turnover. Think about that. 12 assists, 0 turnovers, against international competition. That's a kind of performance that gets the attention of every coach watching, because it shows more than talent. It shows decision-making, it shows composure, and it shows the ability to control a game without forcing unnecessary plays. By the end of that international run, the message appeared to be clear. Clark wasn't simply fighting for a spot. She was showing that she could potentially become the player running the offense. And when the conversation eventually turned toward who should lead Team USA, those performances became extremely difficult to ignore. But while Clark's basketball resume was getting stronger, another storyline was beginning to grow. And this one wasn't about assists or records. It was about frustration, controversy, and the reaction surrounding Angel Reese. Now we get to the part of the story that created the most debate. Angel Reese has always been one of the most talked about players in women's basketball. She brings confidence, she brings personality, and she has never been afraid to speak her mind. But that same confidence can create controversy when expectations and results don't always line up. According to the material behind the storyline, frustration surrounding the Team USA captaincy became a major talking point. The biggest question was simple. Why was Caitlin Clark chosen to lead while Angel Reese was left without that role? And from there, fans immediately started comparing the two players. Clark supporters pointed toward her scoring, passing, record-breaking performances, and international success. Meanwhile, Reese's critics focused on difficult games, shooting struggles, and moments where her performance became heavily criticized online. One game mentioned in the storyline involved a tough shooting night in which Reese struggled to convert from the field. Another major talking point came from a matchup where she was repeatedly challenged at the rim and blocked multiple times. Of course, one bad game doesn't define a player's entire career. Every athlete has difficult nights. Even the greatest players in basketball history have struggled in individual games. But the reason these moments became so widely discussed was because they were happening during a period when the captaincy debate was already growing. Every missed shot became part of the conversation. Every Clark highlight created another comparison. And social media made the rivalry even bigger. Then came the alleged comment that added even more fuel to the situation. The material describes a moment where Reese was reportedly heard making a negative comment about Clark after another major recognition for the Fever star. That immediately created another wave of discussion. Was it frustration? Was it competitive emotion? Or was it evidence of a deeper problem between the two players? Those questions spread quickly across social media. And this is where the entire story becomes bigger than just basketball. Because Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese have become two of the biggest names in women's sports. Everything they do gets analyzed. A great performance becomes a headline. A bad game becomes a viral clip. A single comment can dominate conversation for days. That's the reality of being at the center of one of the biggest rivalries in modern basketball. But there's also an important difference between rivalry and reality. Fans can argue all day. They can debate who is better. They can compare statistics. They can choose sides. But when it comes to Team USA leadership, the final decision comes down to the people making the selections. And based on the storyline presented here, those decision-makers saw something special in Caitlin Clark's ability to lead. That doesn't mean Angel Reese has no value as a player. It doesn't mean her career is finished. And it certainly doesn't mean one controversial moment defines everything she can become. But at this moment, the momentum surrounding the two players appears to be moving in very different directions. And that's where the final part of the story gets even bigger. Because the battle isn't happening only on the basketball court. It's happening in popularity, branding, sponsorships, and the future of women's basketball itself. The Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese rivalry has become much bigger than a single basketball game. It has become one of the biggest storylines in women's sports. On one side, Caitlin Clark continues building a resume filled with huge scoring performances, elite passing, record-breaking games, and massive attention from fans. Her popularity has also turned her into one of the most valuable names in sports marketing. Major brands have connected themselves to her growing influence, and her signature product have generated enormous interest. The storyline highlights major support surrounding her deals, including a partnership with Nike and other major companies. And from a business perspective, that's important. Brands don't only invest in athletic talent. They invest in attention. They invest in influence. And they invest in athletes who can bring new fans into the sport. Clark has clearly done that. Every major game involving her creates discussion. Every highlight spreads across social media. And every new achievement brings even more attention to the WNBA. But Angel Reese has also built a powerful personal brand. She has her own fan base. She has her own business opportunities. And she remains one of the most recognizable players in women's basketball. The difference is that the storyline surrounding her has recently been filled with more controversy and criticism. That doesn't mean the future is decided. Sports can change incredibly fast. One great season can completely change a narrative. One playoff run can silence critics. And one international tournament can create an entirely new chapter. That's why the next stage of this story matters so much. For Caitlin Clark, the challenge is proving that the expectations surrounding her are justified. Being called a leader is one thing. Actually leading a team through pressure is another. If she gets the opportunity to take on that role, every possession will be analyzed. Every mistake will be discussed, and every big moment will carry even more weight. For Angel Reese, the challenge is different. She has the opportunity to turn criticism into motivation. The best response to doubters isn't always a social media post. Sometimes it's a dominant performance on the court. And if these two players continue competing at the highest level, this rivalry could become one of the defining stories of an entire generation. That's the biggest takeaway from all of this. The captaincy debate may be the headline. The controversy may bring the attention. But the real story is what comes next. Can Caitlin Clark handle the responsibility of being one of the faces and potential leaders of Team USA? Can she continue producing at the same level when the pressure becomes even greater? And can Angel Reese use all the criticism around her as motivation to take her own game to another level? Only time will answer those questions. But one thing is already clear. Women's basketball has more attention than ever, and players like Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese are at the center of that conversation. Whether fans agree or disagree with the captaincy decision, everybody will be watching to see what happens next. So now we want to hear from you. Do you think Caitlin Clark deserves to lead Team USA? Was she the right choice for captain? And how do you think Angel Reese should respond to all the criticism surrounding this situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more basketball stories, breaking news, and the biggest moments from around the game. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.